Reva, thank you so much for being here today to talk about who we surround ourselves with. Here on the show, we've been talking a lot about self care lately, which is so important. And I feel like it's such a message that resonates well with students, and they want to carry that message forward to other students. But today, you wanted to bring a message specifically about the importance of surrounding ourselves with positive energy and other positive people. So tell me, what made you decide this was the message for today?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. Second, why I wanted to talk about this. Spending the last year and a half at home has been really pivotal for me in terms of who I surround myself with. Because being away from people, you want to make sure that whoever is in your life at that present moment is able to present you with that positive energy that you need to get through whatever it is that you're getting through. Specifically through quarantine, it was really difficult to be positive and to smile some days just because of the world and what was going on, and whether it was in your personal life or just the world in general. So quarantine has really forced me to eliminate the people that do not bring me the best vibes, the best energy, and that has been really pivotal in my growth as a human being. So that's why I wanted to talk about it today, because sometimes I find that it's really difficult to surround yourself with those people that are able to bring you that positivity, and sometimes you just need a little bit of guidance as to how you can do that. And so that's why I really wanted to talk about that.
I'm sure this entire COVID era for most people really, it was a time of introspection. And I know for those of us who are extroverted and need a lot of time with others, this was a really difficult adjustment. I mean, I knew for me right away it was going to be very difficult. Losing that closeness, that proximity, being able to be around people the way that, especially those of us who are physical touch, quality time, this was really difficult. But you're absolutely right that it helped us reevaluate some things in our lives in many ways. So, who did you surround yourself with, and were you able to do it virtually? Were you able to do it physically? Was it a mix? And I know that now we're in a different phase. So just
Yeah.
take us back in time a little bit, and when it all first started, you're at the university. Did you end up moving back home?
I went to Texas for a little bit to spend some time with my aunt and my other relatives. And there, I really had to reevaluate who was actually there for me and who was there kind of as a safety net for me. At that specific moment, I was able to eliminate those people that I just felt like weren't good for me in my life at that specific moment. And my criteria kind of came down to who could I always pick up the phone and call? Who could I always shoot a text? And who do I know that will be able to check on me even when I don't ask for it? And I think those are some things that I present to somebody in a friendship, and I look for that back.
I remember growing up always hearing that you'll be able to count your friends on one hand, and you're lucky if you can do that. So we hear these things, and we hear sayings like you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with. So I know how powerful it is to surround yourself with those positive people. But I have to ask you, when you were taking this inventory, was it easy? Was it hard? Were you able to be very decisive? I mean, did it involve like breaking up with people, or was it more just no longer putting time and energy into those relationships? So what was that change time like as you were figuring out who stays in this inner circle and who do you need to remove from it?
So friendship breakups definitely did happen. Was I upset and sad about it in the moment? 1000%, because this person was somebody who I thought brought something invaluable or value super valuable, excuse me, to my existence. But now looking back at it, I can confidently say it was because of those friendship breakups, or that one in particular, that I'm able to be who I am today, because it made me realize what I actually need in a friendship and what I need in that relationship with my peers. And kind of being in college now, I'm able to use whatever I learned during quarantine and kind of the end of my senior year to go forward and create relationships that have more meaning, have more substance, and really pick the people in my inner circle who are able to be there for me.
Absolutely. And it is an
Yeah.
important thing to recognize. And I'm glad that you were able to verbalize that it is sad and it is a loss. I wish I could remember this saying I had learned growing up that some people come and go in our lives, and some are there for the long haul, some are there for a season, but everyone that comes into our lives is there for a reason. What's your number one thing that you want in friendships? I want to know that I'm loved and accepted even when I make mistakes for who I am. You know, knowing that I'm always trying to be a great friend and to be a strong partner in those relationships. But I want to know that I'm loved and that it's okay to not be perfect. That to me, that's a real friendship. When I can show up at my worst and knowing that you love me at my best and in those hard times too. Well, how would you
Absolutely.
describe like the thing you're looking for in friendships?
Yeah, no, absolutely. On a similar note, I need somebody who is able to support me, whether I'm going through something or I'm at my very best. I need somebody who will constantly be there for me. Like I said before, loyalty, honesty, respect, all of that is definitely fundamentals in a relationship. And I think that's almost guaranteed in terms of when you ask somebody what you want on a surface level in a friendship. But the support is something that I've learned the difficult way, unfortunately, that is not always reciprocated and is not always something guaranteed.
And I have to ask you because I'm very curious, and I also think it will be helpful for everybody listening who is either considering a friendship breakup, is in the process of breaking up with a friend. What was that process like for you? I mean, did you have a live conversation? Was it a message? Was it writing? Was it just a matter of stepping back and no longer being in touch? I mean, what was that breakup process like for you?
I went about it in the sense of actually having a conversation with this person of, you know, I am not receiving what I maybe need out of this friendship. And I would love for you to tell me if there's something that you're not receiving because I want to be that good friend for you. So it started off with that conversation of what can we do better because I am not getting what I need and I want to know if there's something that you're not getting because it's very likely in that situation. After that conversation, we worked on it a little bit. We tried to kind of get back up there, and unfortunately, it did not stick for whatever reason. And so at that point, I took a second to reevaluate and to see, if this is something that I actually really want in my life in terms of somebody who's able to be that backbone for me and who's able to keep me going. And I did not, unfortunately, feel as though we were at a point where this person could provide that for me any longer. And so at that point, I had had a conversation with this person. I had felt like I had given it my all. So I took a step back and I just realized that that was something that I did not need in that moment, unfortunately. And I think it kind of fizzled out that way. Are there other ways of going about it? Absolutely. I think it's what works for some people. I think that's what you should go with. Confrontation is definitely something that works for me because I want to know that you receive the message that I have, and you know exactly how I feel. So confrontation was definitely the way to go for me. Confrontation is not the way to go for some people, and that's okay. And I think taking a moment to step back and just fizzle out that way is also great. But whatever you do to get rid of those people that don't bring that energy into your life, I think that's what you need to do in order to get to a place of, happiness, I guess.
And confrontation can be such a scary word to people, but it doesn't have to be because confrontation doesn't always mean fighting or difficulty or conflict. To me, it's about facing the situation, and that is also what works for me. But not everybody's comfortable with that. I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't feel comfortable to me either. But like
Right.
we talk about in public speaking, it's a matter of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable because you
Absolutely.
need those things to move forward. And I've had similar experiences in my life too. And I will be fully honest and vulnerable here. I have had my heart broken by friendships in ways that have been similar with romantic relationships. In some ways, that actually hurt even more. You know, one happened when I was very young. I was in high school, and it was a very difficult thing to, but I knew that the relationship could not continue because of the circumstances surrounding that. And it absolutely broke my heart. You know, this is a person I was very close with, but that's just something I had to accept, like choices that people make. And then in another time in my life more recently, there was a friend who I thought we had become friends, but really what it was is once the circumstances of the relationship changed and it stopped being a mentor kind of relationship, then and opened up and there are more vulnerabilities and difficulties in life, that didn't work for that person any longer. And what was happening is this friend was no longer as available as they used to be. I just kind of felt like there was some tension there. Then afterwards, I had to ask, just like bringing it back to a confrontation, I had to ask, is something wrong? Is there a difficult, have I done something to upset you? I just feel like things have changed. And the person was thankfully very honest with me and said that, you know, they shared what their values were and that my life had taken a different direction and they just didn't really see the value in continuing. And even though I was like in my head about the whole thing, I was at least thankful that this person was very honest because I knew I no longer needed to pour one more minute into the relationship. It had served its purpose and I was appreciative for the past, but I knew that it just meant that this relationship was no longer needed for my future. But
Right.
what's your number one tip for people listening right now who might be dealing with this situation in their lives or considering how might you go about it?
For me, it's always a matter of being mature and a matter of, I say this term with my friends whenever we encounter a situation, but be grown is what I like to say. Approach it in a way that is mature and that is comfortable enough for you. For me, and like for you, having that conversation, in my own opinion, for myself, is the way to be grown, is the way to be mature and to move past the situation. If that isn't the way for you and that's maybe taking a step back, that's your version of being grown. Do you know what I mean? I think handling it in the most mature way is what's ultimately going to get you to a place where you can feel like you prosper, you thrive. But forewarning, it does hurt and it's
Yes,
painful
for sure.
and
Yeah, and
and
whether
it's
whether you're the person breaking up with somebody or you're the one being broken up
yeah,
with, I feel like here's my number one tip. Let yourself feel the negative feelings. Don't try to force yourself to sweep it all under the rug. Be like, oh, well, good riddance. Didn't need that person anyway. What's done is done. Allow yourself to be like, dang it, that sucks.
another thing that helped me, and it might help you as well, is rely on the people that give you that strength. For me at that moment, I was kind of figuring out in terms of friendships who was there for me and who was not. So the people of strength for me was my family.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that too. So I think the two of us are suggesting to everybody if you're going through the situation or considering it, number one, have a conversation in person about it, be able to express your feelings. And then if the breakup does happen, which, like you, it may be in steps, it might not just be like a breakup today, but maybe you
Right.
try and it doesn't work and then it's time for the breakup. So once that breakup happens, allow yourself to feel the sadness, the loss, the anger, the disappointment, the grief. Let yourself go through that grieving process
Right.
and rely on the people that are in your inner circle to help you get through that time of loss too. So that's great strategies. And I
Yeah.
say exercise and great music really help too,
Right.
to help take good care, to really take good care of yourself in those
That.
times. And speaking of taking really good care of yourselves, Reva, what is the most recent thing you've done to take really good care of you?
Something that I recently did for myself is go to the dance studio and just dance. I am a dancer. I love to dance. It's my form of expression. It's my form of feeling the feelings, if you will. And so I took my speaker, I went down to the multi-purpose room and I just danced.
You found your outlet, your means of self-care to help you through those moments. And everybody that's listening, we've got to do the same thing. We've got to take really good care of ourselves. And Reva, what if you had to put your entire message in one sentence today? We've talked about who we surround ourselves with, positive energy from others, the influence of others, friendship breakups. What is your message to everybody listening in a sentence?
For anybody who's going through this process is take your time and really evaluate what you need in your life at a specific moment.
And my last question for you, Reva, is if you could go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you say? Now, the trick is you only have 15 seconds.
Trust yourself and allow yourself the time to be able to figure out what it is that you need. It's so important to have those two mindsets, I think.
I really appreciate you and your time, and you were a wonderful contributor to our class experience, and love seeing your smiling face today.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.